What's up, everyone? You're here with Goran from Pickdawgz, and you're here for your MLS free picks for Saturday, October 5th. Well, guys, as the regular season in the MLS is coming to the end, we still have a slate of games on Saturday. We have a couple of games on Sunday, and I believe we still have some games midweek next week. Those that got postponed or moved or stuff like that earlier in the season. The picture is getting clearer as far as which teams are going into playoffs, but there are still a few spots left open, and it could get interesting in the last couple of games of the regular season. At the end of this video, you're also getting a parlay of the day for the MLS. While on top of all these free picks, there are a bunch of free picks for the European soccer as well, for the European soccer leagues, that is. The top five ones, a lot of free picks, another parlay of the day, and a lot of great winners, I hope, throughout the entire day on Saturday. For my best bets, you can click the link in the description of this video. That will get you up to my page on the pickdawgz.com website. While for the Golden Boot VIP access, text the word GOLD to 443-780-5663 and it will get you set up with that as well. Now let's get this show on the road, guys. I won't take too much of your time. Toronto is hosting Inter Miami, and the only reason why Toronto are favorites here is because Inter Miami doesn't need anything. They won the regular season title earlier this week by beating Columbus on the road 3-2. Um, Toronto had some success against Inter Miami at home, but I was watching that game live against New York Red Bulls earlier this week, and they were desperate. They were horrible defensive. I mean, that team doesn't have the defense. So even with the fact that Inter Miami doesn't need anything, I honestly don't think that Toronto should be the favorites. They will be without Bernardeschi for this game, who got suspended because of the red card. Insigne will probably be in the game simply because Toronto needs a win out of this one. At least the draw if they want to have a chance of getting to that wild card spot. But I'm not taking sides in this one, guys. I'm taking goals. Both teams to score in over 2.5 goals at minus 154. Atlanta and Red Bulls is the next matchup we have going on. And like I said, Red Bulls did beat Toronto just a few days ago in Toronto. While Atlanta on the other side, let me just pull it up real quick. They had a game against who was it? They had a game against Montreal and they lost 2-1. However, they still have a chance of qualifying to the playoffs if they can get a positive result out of this game. So I think it's going to be an all-open matchup. New York Red Bulls are pretty much safe. They don't need anything, but certainly they don't want to lose this game. So I'm going to go with the over 2.5 goals at minus 167. Charlotte and Montreal are basically direct competitors right now for that direct playoff spot, actually. This is the last game. Actually, they're not competitors. Charlotte has 5 points above Montreal, but Montreal could definitely use a win out of this game to stay in the wild card spot and to secure it. For this one, I'm going to go with both teams to score once again, guys, at minus 161. Columbus is hosting Philadelphia, and you know what? Even though Columbus doesn't need much, they basically don't need anything out of this game. They're in second place. They're going into playoffs. The only reason why they need a win is to keep their form going and to get back on the winning track. While Philadelphia on the other side is a bit sloppy right now. They've lost their last game against Orlando 2-1 on the road. They tied 1-1 to Atlanta, and they need a positive result out of this game because they are not in the playoff spot. They are just below the wild card spot with 37 points, and if they could get a win out of this one, they would most likely end the season in the wild card spot. However, I don't have a lot of confidence in this Philadelphia team, especially when playing on their own. So I'm gonna go with Columbus on the money line. Cincinnati and Orlando is a matchup between two teams who are getting into playoffs. They are very close to each other in the standings. Cincinnati in third place, Colorado in fourth place with 7 points less. Not Colorado, Orlando. I apologize. But I think this is gonna be a very tight game. I think it's gonna be a close one. If anything's gonna happen, in my opinion, it's gonna be in the second half. I think we see a bit of a slow start. And with that in mind, I'm taking first half draw at plus 132. New England will be hosting DC United, who, with a win this midweek that they got, they actually give themselves a chance to potentially get to the wild card spot. They are now 3 points below eighth place in Montreal, and they are even with Toronto and Philadelphia. While New England is done, they are knocked out of the season. They don't really have anything much left to play for. They have been horrible defensively, 62 conceded goals. They're not looking well, so I don't know why they're such big favorites here at plus 120. Instead, guys, I'm gonna take DC on the double chance at minus 143. They have to go for the win here, and with the way they've been playing lately, I think that they could at least get a draw out of this match. Vancouver and Minnesota now on the other side, on the West Coast, is an interesting matchup here because Vancouver is in the playoff spot with 47 points. Minnesota is on the wild card spot with 46 points. Now, Vancouver has a game in hand, so even if they end up losing this one, it's not the end of the world, but they need to get back on the winning track. They're not playing well at home. They got destroyed by Seattle the other day, and I know that they're missing a few players, but you can't lose 3-0 when it's time to step up at home against your main rival in the West Coast, that is Seattle. So Vancouver is now without a win in their last four games. They have to step it up, but it's not gonna be easy because Minnesota is playing really well, undefeated in their last three games, lost only once in their last six games. So definitely a highly competitive team, and because of that, I'm gonna take Minnesota team total over 4.5 quarters at minus 125. Vancouver's defense is not that good, and I think that they will concede at least 5 corners against Minnesota. Now, Kansas and LAFC is another matchup on the West Coast, guys. And Kansas, let me just look at the standings real quick. Uh, they are done. They are very close to the bottom of the table. They had that nice run, which kind of got them into the contentions for the playoffs, but they are done. They're getting knocked out, and the season is basically over for them. LAFC on the other side is in the second place. They finally got a win just a few days ago. Now they need to keep it going. They are clearly the better team here. They need to keep their form up just in time for the playoffs. And because of that, I do expect them to step up in this game. So I'm taking LAFC on the money line at plus 125. St. Louis and Houston is a game that doesn't mean much to either of these two teams. St. Louis is done. They are not going into playoffs. They are what 11 points away from the nearest wild card spot, while Houston, they are in the playoff spot right now, and I would say that they are safe. They are one of the best defensive teams in the league. Um, and they are playing really well right now. They are coming off of a win. They've conceded only 21 goals on the road so far this season, so I think this is going to be a bit of a defensive battle. St. Louis will certainly try to get a positive result as they are the home team, but I think it's going to be tough. So in this one, I'm taking the draw at plus 260. Colorado and Seattle are facing off on the West Coast, and both of these teams are in the playoff spot, and they will be ending the season in the playoffs. How far they go, we'll see once that kicks off. But in this game, guys, with Seattle keeping a clean sheet against Vancouver, I don't think they can do it twice in a row when playing on the road. So I'm going to go with both teams to score at minus 167. Galaxy and Austin is the next matchup in the MLS, guys. And Galaxy is at the top of the West Coast. They really have nothing to play for. While Austin, on the other side, they're coming off of a win, and potentially, I think there's two games left for them. And with a couple of wins, they could actually they have one game left. Sorry, then nothing really. They are also down as they are now 6 points away, and they don't have a chance of getting into playoffs. So this is basically a meaningless game for both sides. I think we could expect a bit of a shuffled lineup from both teams, give the chance to some of those players who haven't played as much during the season. And with that in mind, I think we see the lack of defense on both sides, and hopefully a lot of chances to get some goals. So personally, I would just skip this game. But if you decide to bet anything, I would go with over 3.5 goals at minus 105. The last game before we get onto the parlay, guys, is between San Jose and Salt Lake. San Jose at the bottom of the table, the worst team in the league. They are nowhere near the playoffs, while Salt Lake on the other side has been one of the best teams in the league, and they are now in fourth place. They are safe. They are getting into playoffs. One of the most effective teams as well, with 62 scored goals in 32 games. That's an average of almost 2 scored goals per game throughout the entire season. Um, and with that in mind, I do expect goals in this one as well. So I decided to take over 3 goals at minus 139 on the Asian total line, which means that if there are 3 goals, we get a push. If there are 4 or more, we get a winner. While if there are 1 or 2 goals, we are gonna lose this one. But I think we see at least 3 goals in this matchup. And now we are up to the parlay, guys, in the MLS. We have to be careful with the parlay. It's plus 336. I'm taking Toronto versus Inter Miami over 2.5 goals. Charlotte versus Seattle. I'm gonna take over 1.5 goals. Uh, I'm gonna go with Columbus on the double chance as they're playing at home against Philadelphia. And for the last pick, I'm taking Vancouver and Minnesota over 2.5 goals at plus 336. With both teams needing something out of this game, it should be fairly open and exciting matchup. So, like I said, guys, Toronto versus Inter Miami over 2.5 goals. Charlotte versus Montreal over 1.5 goals. Colorado versus Seattle over 1.5 goals. Columbus on the double chance against Philadelphia. And Vancouver versus Minnesota over 2.5 goals. That's it, everyone, for this MLS slate on Saturday. Hope you have a great day. Check out the rest of the free picks, put some bets in, and I'll see you guys soon with more free winners.